Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Asmai nripalaha kila tatra tatra lim harishyanti salokapalaha mamsyanta esham striyadirajam krayudham tad yasha udarayantaha. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When the king travels all over the world, other kings as well as the demigods will offer him all kinds of presentations. Their queens will also consider him the original king who carries in his hands the emblems of club and disc, and will sing of his fame, for he is as reputable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport. As far as reputation is concerned, King Prithu is already known as the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Adirajam means the original king. The original king is Narayana or Lord Vishnu. People do not know that the original king or Narayana is actually the protector of all living entities. As confirmed in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is maintaining all living entities. The king or Naradeva is his representative. As such, the king's duty is to personally supervise the distribution of wealth for the maintenance of all living entities. If he does so, he will be as reputable as Narayana. As mentioned in this verse, Tad Yashaha, Prithu Maharaj was actually carrying with him the reputation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he was actually reigning over the world in that capacity. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So here we are talking about the reputation or the fame of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose incarnation is Prithu Maharaj, being the incarnation of Prithu Maharaj, being the incarnation of Vishnu. Prithu Maharaj is also addressed here as Adirajan, the original king. The original king is Narayana. Just like we say Rajadiraja, Govinda. Eternally the Lord is a whole of every part and parcel jivas. We are part and parcel jiva persons, spirit persons. And the Supreme Lord, Narayana, is a whole person. We are one in quality with Narayana. And the constitutional function, being of the same quality, is to serve the Supreme Lord, Narayana. So what all we have, what all symptoms of personality we see in the part and parcels. It is there to the infinite degree. It is there in limitless quantity in the Supreme Lord as Narayana. And being part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, we are all like subjects of a king. It is mentioned here, Prabhupada says, Narayana is actually the protector of all living entities. As is confirmed in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. That one Supreme Lord is maintaining all the living entities and their desires. Maintaining and fulfilling their desires. This is the Krishna conscious understanding of God. We have also come from God. But we are maintained and He is a maintainer. We are also God. But we have maintained God and He is maintainer God. So therefore we are God-like. Because we don't have the same power like God. God's willing capacity, thinking capacity, feeling capacity is infinite. We also think, feel, will, do limited extent. The Lord is the owner of everything, and we are owned by Him. All part and parcel persons are owned by the whole person. So it's an eternal feature of existence. Spiritual world and material world. Ekapada, Tripada Vibhuti, Ekapada Vibhuti. Entire spiritual world and material world is an inconceivable Leela of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. His forms are inconceivable. His everything about him is inconceivable by the tiny jiva. In one expansion, he creates this material world, lying on the Karna Jvala. In another expansion, he enters each Brahmanda as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. In another expansion, he enters each heart of each living entity as Shirodaksha Vishnu. Because he has a role everywhere. Because ultimately, everything is running for him. Anandamayobhyasat, the entire world is spinning around his supreme scheme. Eko Bahushyam. Chaitanya Charitamrita describes how Krishna, Sarva Karna Karanam, expands as Swamsha, his own amshas, various expansions. And as Vibhinna amshas, another kind of persons, tiny persons, which is we, the living entities. And our characteristic, as per our constitutional nature in existence of each jiva, we all have eternal individuality. That individuality, when it is connected to supreme individuality of Krishna, in love or in surrender, in service, that is one state of existence for the Jivatma. Another state of existence for the Jivatma is to falsely identify with something that he is not. Not that he has two options. Is intrinsically has two options. Two equal options. One option is his Surupa. Other option is his Anartha. It is not his Surupa. It is identifying with a false ego. And then being in the material world. To facilitate that Krishna unconnected self or body identity, the Supreme Lord sits in the heart of all living entities in a hidden form. But of course, he is maintaining unlimited jivas in this material world. What are the jivas doing? Every moment they are running after different desires, which has no connection with Krishna. The essence of all those desire is desire for power, desire for knowledge, desire for love, desire for pleasure, sense pleasures. So in this world we see temporary power, temporary love, experiences you feel of love. These are all experiences of different types of ananda. Sense pleasure. This material world provides these experiences to the living entity by means of the beautifully designed yantra. It is duplicate love, duplicate pleasure. Why it is duplicate? Because it is not Atmas, it's not originating from Atma. It is originating in the brain. And we are tricked to think. That's why chemicals are the cause of power experience. I'm talking about experience. Power outside is reality. But your experience of power is in the brain. Your experience of love is in the brain. Means it is prompted, and chemicals prompt love in the brain. But it's connected in such a way that because Lord is there as a super soul, that material effect is converted into illusory love. Because in the brain there is no love. How can you feel love? The brain cannot produce love. But this is conditioned by chemicals. So, in this way, all the rasas that the jiva, the whole world is seeking after this. Every living entity from tiny microbe to is existence, secured existence. Because I am eternal. Nature is eternal, there is no question of dying. So when I get a body that dies, I am always struggling to preserve my existence. So soul's nature is eternal. So in this way, so many living entities are there in this material world. All of them are seeking after the same resources. Not caring for the others. I am the Lord of all I survey. Bhavana. I'm talking about bhavana. Whether he is achievable or not is different. Slowly he gets conditioned that, okay, it's not achievable. So he settles down. Whatever money in my pocket is my money. Other money is not my money. He settles down. But to give him a chance, he wants all the money. Give him a chance, he wants all the power. Give him a chance, even though he's a tiny fellow, he wants all the love. And he wants to give all love, like Krishna. His capacity to take love and give love is limited. His capacity to handle power and spend is also limited. But his thinking is that I need. Why? This is the nature, lauding nature of this is karmic consciousness. The living entity gets trapped into this karmic consciousness. It's got acting for fruitive mentality. Continuously working hard for getting the fruits of these rasas, enjoyment, independent of Krishna. So therefore, governance of the society of these rebellious souls, which means governance in this material world is very essential. Otherwise there won't be any order. So for that governance, the Lord has set the laws of karma. And because each living entity's tendency in the material world is to become the lord of everything, law of karma restricts his ability to control the resources of this material nature. And different living entities are endowed with different power. Some are rich, some are poor, some are that. Somebody has got power, all kinds of powers. Money power, influence power, intelligence power. Different living entities are endowed with different kinds of power. But the custodian of all this power is everybody's power is coming from the super soul. Because he is the owner of all the power. He is a distributor of all the power. Why somebody is rich now, why somebody is poor now. Why tomorrow that person is super rich, this poor man becomes, rich man becomes poor. You can see in the material world, it is a reality or not, that different people have different degrees of power in this material world. Basically, the material nature can be understood as power play. It comes from the lording tendency. We have come into this world to lord over. Lord over means that imitating Krishna. Krishna is a lord. We are not meant for lording over. So even such jivas, the Vedas say, Eko bahunam yo vidadati kaman. It is Lord Narayana. Nothing can go on without Lord Narayana, without Krishna and his expansions. Though Lord is sitting in, he is residing in Goloka Vrindavana, our understanding of Lord is not limited to Lord is sitting somewhere, go and I have to go back to Godhead. That's okay. That is one option. The absolute truth, Param Satya, is that very same Krishna in unlimited expansions is there in every atom, every person. And by Shastric understanding, we have to understand what is the role of that particular expansion. Then we see that the entire existence is spinning around the Lord. No other purpose. Even the rebellious living entities. There is a pattern, there is a provision made by the Lord for the rebellious living entities. That is why nobody can cross the laws of karma. Stringent laws of karma. Who makes it so stringent? Who made these laws? The law of freedom and responsibility. What is the law of karma? The law of freedom and responsibility. Freedom is there, you are responsible also. You use your freedom, you get more power. This life, next life. The power is power to enjoy. To enjoy, you need power. Even bodily, you need a powerful body, bodily senses to enjoy sense gratification also. So this is the way the devotee sees the world as the Lord distributing his power to different rebellious living entities according to their laws of karma. He is seated in everyone's heart. Upadrishta and Anumanta. What is the role of what is the role of Krishna? What is the role of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? In everything, in every living entity. To understand that is to see Krishna everywhere. A devotee trains his consciousness according to Guru, Sadhu and Shastra to see Krishna's relationship with everything. And Krishna does have a relationship with everything, just like a part and parcel has a relationship with the Purna. So even though we have rebelled or we forget rebelling, we want to be on our own. That's all. But being part and parcel, you cannot be on your own. You're thinking you're on your own, but you're being provided everything by the Lord. You've been provided by a body, with a body. You're provided with the senses. You're provided the power of the senses. You're provided with perception. You cannot see anything without the sanction of the super soul. You cannot smell anything, taste anything. Because he is present as a super consciousness, we are able to convert brain chemicals into spiritual qualities of love, power, everything, enjoyment, and suffering. So we don't see, the Vaishnavas don't see this world as illusion. It's a real place, created for the real living entities who want to play the game of illusion in their minds. World is not illusion. They want to play the game of illusion. What is the difference? Body is not illusion. But in my mind, I think I am the body. You start the play of illusion. Body is a reality, beautiful mission created by Krishna. Vaishnavas also use it to serve the Supreme Lord. Karmis think, I am that body, and they serve their body whole life. And body gives here and there pleasure, suffering. It's all identified pleasure because you are thinking you are the body. You are not really the body. Therefore, the bodily pleasure, you are thinking it is your pleasure. Bodily suffering, you are thinking it is your suffering. But however, even if your thinking is suffering, is a suffering. Therefore, a Vaishnava is paradukhi. Paradukha dukhi. Living entities are supposed to be having uninterrupted love, uninterrupted happiness. That's a constitution of the soul. If he is connected to, in yoga, with the Supreme, with this whole, even in this body, material life will become completely changed if we become conscious of the Super Soul. If we live a life in association with the Super Soul, he is already there. You're not imagining. And what is that? Practice of surrender. Even if you have material desires. Practice of surrender under the direction of a spiritual master. And that's what we are doing. And that is a gradual way for the living entity to become purified. By living one's life, not for lording over sense gratifications, lording over rasas, but living one's life surrendered to the Lord for the purpose of the Lord, and utilizing this body, mind, everything towards awakening one's real person, the spirit person. So the material world is a reality. Different people are empowered to rule this world, it's a reality. It's not illusion. So if it was illusion, why the history is mentioned here? Everything is eternal katha. Prithu Maharaj story of ruling this earth. Is it illusion? Illusion has no place in Bhagavatam. It is not only what is going on in the spiritual world is Satya, truth. This is truth, but it's a changing truth. Today one person is king, tomorrow another person is king. But when that person is true, he is king, he is king, it's a reality. Sanctioned by Krishna. So, this whole understanding of spiritual perfection of our spiritual life, is not about vanishing the material existence as illusion, then suddenly I get some experience. Everything vanishes. Now we are all in illusion. The theory that we are all in illusion, and when we free ourselves from illusion, I am not there, you are not there, world is not there, nothing is there. Totally it is not supported by the Vedanta. That theory was used by Shankaracharya to defeat Buddhism and to bring back Buddhists back into the Vedic fold. So somehow, everywhere, different schools of thought, spirituality means they don't have reference to this outside world. They say ultimately you have to become, these are all not of substance or not of value. But this is eternal creation of the Lord. Srishti, Sthiti, Pralaya is an activity of the absolute Lord. How can it be illusion? The Lord is not in illusion when He does these activities. The living entities who are in that world, they mistake one for the other. That is illusion. They mistake this body to be this spiritual body. That's a mistake. They mistake this bodily pleasure, love, everything is equal to my Atma's original pleasure. Mistaking. This is their Maya's role is. Maya. Some people think Maya means it's illusion. This table does not exist at all. What we say, what the Vaishnava philosophy says, no, existence is all coming from Krishna, they are all truth. Existence is not false. Existence is not false, it is the opulence, it's a vaibhava of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is a person, and according to his scheme, this existence has come into play. The tiny living entities who are in the existence can create illusions in his head. That is the role of illusion. Krishna has no touch with Maya. Maya has reference only to tiny living entities who create illusions in their heads. And the foremost of that illusion is what? What is the seed of illusion? We all in our chittam, we have created a story, my life. Your life, my life, your life, life. What is your life when you say my life? The only thing you know is I am this body. So this body is life. What will happen to my old age? Arey, you are not the body at all. It is not your old age at all. So like this, all the stories, very important to understand how Maya traps us. That is exactly why we have to come out of bodily concept of life. There is no spiritual life if you don't come out of bodily concept of life. We have to feel, we have to realize that distance with the body as not me, but my instrument, as my equipment to deal with this world, with other jivas. A temporary equipment for the eternal soul. But instead, the living entity identifies, and his interest is his body's interest. The interest of the soul is Krishna, so broad, so wide, so infinite, liberated consciousness of pleasing Krishna. And everything, you fall into the trap, it's a well. I am this body is a well. That only body's interest and this thing. Slowly, by devotion service, we come out of it. Bodily sense gratification means you are fallen into the trap. Because we all have senses, original senses. These body senses are not our senses. We are all pleasure-oriented, love-oriented, freedom-oriented, our souls. So we seek freedom for the body is my freedom. What freedom for the body is your freedom? Body never gives freedom. It's apparent freedom. According to karma, different degrees of freedom are given for the living entity in this body. So, coming back to this purport of Prabhupada, and in this whole chapter, we are talking about Prithu Maharaj. We should not disconnect these from pure bhakti. Oh, this is a Prithu Maharaj story, I want 10th canto, Krishna, that is Satya. By the way, all these things are being spoken in Bhagavatam. About power, about how we ruled and all. No, these are all, we have to understand the vast, canvas of Lord's creation. Even though you cannot see the Supreme Personality of Godhead acting in this material world, but He is the foundation of everything in this material world. Part and parcel cannot be without Purna. From one hole, so many holes come out. Krishna is Purna, whole. Without him reducing to any extent, he comes into each heart of each living entity. The Purna Krishna is there in our heart. Because it is Krishna's interest to give freedom to the living entities. And only He can give. Only He can facilitate. And therefore, ye tamam prabhadyante tamsate bhajamiham. I am behind everything, mayadekshena suyate sacharacharam. But I will hide from you. That is the difference. The spiritual world and material world. He is behind everything. He is the cause of all causes. Here He is hidden. So devotee means being conscious, not this material world is without Krishna. Everything happening in this world is under the control of the supreme control of the Lord. So many intermediate controllers Krishna has given. Seeing those intermediate controllers and their freedom to control, you may think that there is no supreme controller. But we are talking, there is a supreme controller. Just like the world is going crazy, people say it will end and war and destruction and everything. Prabhupada clearly says in the purport, Bhagavad Gita purport, that unless they may create any powerful weapons, but unless the Lord decides, those weapons cannot blow off. They may have powerful. When Lord decides, yes, there must be a Kurukshetra, then He will decide, chalo, blow atom bomb or biochemical weapons or trade weapons, create chaos in this material world. Very sensitive. The whole, if you say today's economy is also sensitive. The only reason it's not collapsing is because of Krishna. Who is in total control of the economy? Nobody. You think policy makers? US, their own policy makers. India has own policy makers. This thing. Financial policy. Value of money, all man created. Why it is sustained? Because of Krishna. Therefore he said he is a maintainer. Lord Vishnu is a maintainer. If there is something being maintained, it is maintained because of him. And he maintains according to the karma, everything he maintains. The Prabhupada says, World War, all these things won't happen if Sankirtana becomes very strong. Good times will come. World will change for good. The hidden Lord has to manifest outside as Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How it manifests in the four walls of this 6 acres. Simply extend that, the world is Vaikuntha. So we have to apply our mind, we have to think what is a good king. If you want to serve the Lord in dispensing power to the living entities, that is the job of a king on his behalf, as per his king, as per his scheme. And Prithu Maharaj is setting as an incarnation, is setting the principles. In Krishna consciousness, you have to understand Samyak Dhyana. Samyak means essential knowledge, macro picture. That is very important. Only when you understand the macro picture, you will understand the glories of that Adi Purusha. Govindam Adi Purusha, who has got Advaitam, Achyutam, Anadim, Ananta Rupam, through which everywhere in everything is involved. Nothing can be disconnected from Krishna. Maybe visibly disconnected, but not in reality. Not in reality. This is Krishna consciousness. The devotee is always aware Krishna is everywhere, in everything. And ye etamam prapatyante tam satya bhajamyam. It is hidden for the karmis, but not for the devotees. Devotees see the Lord's hand, the super soul's hand in every aspect of his life. In every service, in every aspect, any sukha, dukkha, everywhere he sees. A devotee is in relationship with the Supreme Lord. That is devotee life. And for that purpose, Lord is seated in our heart. As Chaitya Guru. So devotee can very much be in relationship with the Supreme Lord, directly with Krishna, as the Chaitya Guru, one who is guiding you, helping you come out of this material world. And he is the one who manifests as the external spiritual master and gives you knowledge, gives you guidance. By the combination of the external spiritual master's instructions and the internal spiritual master, Chaitya Guru. Chaitya Guru's representative is the external spiritual master. That's why Krishna says, Acharya is myself. Therefore, his words has to be taken as Lord's words. So you follow his instructions. Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasadat. If you want relationship with Chaitya Guru, then first we have to surrender to the external spiritual master's instructions. To the degree to which you surrender to the external instructions of the spiritual master, the Chaitya Guru starts reciprocating in your heart. If you don't follow ABC, the beginning things of spiritual life, don't do this, do this, do this, do this, all those things, chesting down. It's all external spiritual master has given us instructions. Once you do all those things, you do your morning programs very nicely, then you will see that for your service, everything, into your intelligence, the super soul is merging, and you may not realize that you are being guided, but you are guided. That is why you are engaging in devotion service. It's not that sadhana alone is the time for us to connect with Krishna. These are all disconnected time. Sadhana is direct. No doubt, in a way it is direct. But this is a training for us. After your sadhana, during the day's service to the Lord, is an opportunity for us. There also, it is a sadhana of connecting your work with Krishna. Sadhana is direct worship. Here, how I should connect my work, the result of the work, the guidance given during when I work for Krishna. So slowly the devotee comes to a realization of engaging in surrendered devotional service. Surrendered work. So that is also sadhana. Sadhana means what? The discipline to connect ourselves with Krishna in every moment. That is sadhana. So morning sadhana is one type, and preaching service is another type of sadhana. Oh, there I directly am chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna is before me. But here I am not now. No. Here it is a time for you to connect with the Lord in your heart, the Chaitya Guru. Guru's business is what? To guide the living entity to develop ultimately detachment from this world and attachment to Krishna. Detachment from self-centered enjoyment, attachment to Krishna enjoyment. I don't work for myself, I work for Krishna. Just see, this is our preaching service. Karmis, they are all working for themselves. Themselves means what? Their body. Their body's fame, their body's social position, their body's this thing. That's all very limited in a well. Everybody is living in their well. Just see. Moment you see that, look, yeah, your interest never goes beyond your body. And this body is not you. Never goes beyond your body. What a life is this, crazy life. Our life is not meant for our bodies. We maintain the body. Our life is meant for the Supreme Spirit person. I am the Spirit person. I am serving the Supreme Spirit person. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, regarding the spiritual master, so in another place Prabhupada mentions that the Lord sends the spiritual master to train a devotee. And when the devotee is advanced, the Lord acts as a spiritual master within his heart. So just like you said, Chaitya Guru and the external spiritual master.
Yes. Where is that from?
It is 7th canto, 15th chapter, text number 76. Instruction for civilized human beings. Narada Muni is one verse, that purport Prabhupada writes.
When one trains himself to adhere to the external, the instructions of the external spiritual master, he slowly becomes qualified to receive direct guidance from the Super Soul, Chaitya Guru. So Chaitya Guru leaves the external spiritual master. Let's say you take initiation. Your entire life he is not living. He goes away. He goes into Samadhi. Who is guiding you? Who is guiding the disciple? It's a Super Soul. The spiritual master's instruction has trained you. Sakshat Dharitvena. So what is your question? A very nice statement.
So just I'll continue. One more line Prabhupada writes. It's very interesting. Krishna does not become the direct spiritual master unless one is fully trained by his representative spiritual master.
Krishna does not?
Krishna does not become the direct spiritual master unless one is fully trained by his representative spiritual master. So, but in Narottama Das Thakur is singing that Janme Janme Prabhu say. So, does that Prabhu say that his life after life he is a spiritual master? So, does that signifies that Krishna or the external spiritual master? It's very confusing for me to understand.
Janme Janme Prabhu say. Prabhu is a Vyakti, he is an eternal individual. Prabhupada is an eternal individual. Just because you have got the training from him to directly receive instruction from the Super Soul. But your worshipable spiritual master is always that individual who has trained you. So, Janme Janme Prabhu say, and then he is the one who taught you devotional service. He is the one who taught you how to worship the Chaitya Guru, how to surrender to Chaitya Guru. By accepting service and surrender from us, the spiritual master taught us how to give service and surrender to the Supreme Lord, because he is a representative of the Lord in the heart. So we are personalist. As a process of receiving instruction, maybe now you receive instruction from somebody, from the Super Soul directly, in the form of intelligence, inspiring intelligence. It may be. But doesn't mean he becomes redundant. You have an eternal relationship with him. That is one aspect. That is one aspect. As far as in this material world is concerned. Now the same spiritual master, this individual, is not simply, his function doesn't end with teaching you how to relate with the Super Soul. It goes beyond that. What is that? Super Soul is the aspect of the Lord in this material world. He is teaching you how to love the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world. Govindam Adi Purusham, that Govinda's bhakti, you have to get from another devotee, and that is him. It is the end. With your super soul connection, you can come out of the material world. Because in that form, his Leela is only that much. Detach you from this material world, show you the truth, guide you. Ultimately, the super soul will, even here, he has sent you to a devotee to learn. See, only a devotee has got bhakti. Krishna has no bhakti. Krishna is the object of bhakti. Right? Bhakti is a property of bhakta. That is why Krishna himself came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to taste Radharani's love for him. Krishna is the receiver of bhakti. He has bhakti for his devotee, but bhakti for himself is better demonstrated by the devotee. So ultimately, it is by the mercy of an associate of the Lord that you learn that kind of bhakti. What is the devotion of the gopis to Krishna, gopas to Krishna? All those things has to come from a personal servant, not from super soul. Super soul, everything he has is a Upadrishta, Anumanta, guide, friend, maintainer of this world. That form of super soul is limited to that. Lord has got unlimited. It is Krishna only. But in this form, you can only expect this much from me. Just like Lord Narayana, in this form, you don't try to, like the gopis come and try to, no, all those leelas, not. In this form, I am Narayana. I am my Lakshmi, Sahasra Lakshmi, this thing, all those things. So we have to respect Krishna's greatness. He has got, different forms for different things, different functions. So in a way, you can say that when our Krishna Bhakti develops, then that is why it is said, if Krishna is already in your heart, why it is said that you cleanse your heart so that Krishna will come and sit in your heart. Which Krishna is that? Or Narayana? In the spiritual world, he comes and sits in our heart in a relationship of love. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya. You surrender to whom? You don't surrender to Krishna. You surrender to Narayana, Super Soul, Vishnu Padaya. That is a different relationship. Krishna is not even God. It is not godly relationship. So Krishna, Vishnu Padaya, Krishna. So first we have to learn how to surrender. After surrender comes love. First you have to accept the Lord as a master, owner, supreme, everything. And then you can talk about, after having accepted that, purified, then lauding tendency is gone, and then only our actual bhakti towards particular deity of Krishna begins. That's why Prabhupada says, in our deities, Radha, Krishna, Chandra, we are actually, our seva is received by Lakshmi Narayana. So there are all various stages of progress of spiritual life. Unlimited ways of Krishna's enjoyment. is what should bewilder us. Randaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai.